So what I'm saying is that this particular topic that is called, or unit that is called leadership and management, is categorized into two areas. We have the part that is called leadership, and we have another one called management. We have leadership, and then we have management. Now, this particular topic will be majorly on management. That is the coverage. Most parts are on management. Unfortunately, in exam, they normally bring more of leadership questions than management. That is the funny part. Kwa mtihani, wanaleta more of leadership management, especially case studies. They normally bring a lot of leadership questions. They give you a case study of a scenario that happened in an organization, then they ask you about leadership styles. So as we start, you need to understand the leadership styles that management should have, or managers should have, the characteristics of a good leader, such kind of things, challenges that they face, how leadership can help in project management, in change management. Those are areas that we're going to cover in this particular syllabus, all right? Now, otherwise, the paper is very easy. You can easily pass it. The only secret is attend class. Don't miss class. When you miss, sometimes you might actually fail to get something that is going to come in exam. Now, why management? Why management? Why is it good to study management? In most cases, you'll find that the only thing that is difficult to manage is human being. In life, most of the things that we have, like materials, can be managed well. But when it comes to human being, it is difficult to manage human being because of several factors. A human being can get tired. They have attitude. Remember, you can wake up on Monday in the morning, then somebody actually spoils your day the whole day. You are just there, right? Your day is spoiled just because of somebody, how they treat you, how they relate with you, or what they're doing, right? So human being has attitude. Ni mtu akipita, you always, like when you're walking at night, ukipitana na mtu hivi, you always look behind. Why? Because human being is always tricky. Anaweza acha umeenda na nakufuata na kuumiza, right? But ukipitana na animal, you'll always go your way and you'll not mind about what is happening after. So because of that characteristics of human being, that it keeps on changing, you can never predict. People came up with ways and they were wondering, what is the best way of managing this? The resources we can manage. We can allocate, we can manage machines and do everything, but human being is actually difficult to manage. So this topic that we are going to start with, it is not the first topic. The first topic in your syllabus is not the one that I want to look at. I want to look at a topic that is very difficult for students, is very challenging, and I want to break it down for you in a way that you can easily understand. The first topic is the introduction to management. That one is very simple. We'll do it. It is about the definitions, the importance, the applications, right? The functions of management, roles of management. Those ones we'll do. They are very simple. But there is a topic number 2 that is called evolution and development of management theory. It deals with management theory. And that is the most topic, it is like the mother of management. It is the most important part in management, right? Management theory, because they are being applied in real life. So when we talk about management theory, these are people who sat down at some place and then they were wondering, how best can we manage human being? And so we have 3 classification of management theory. The 3 classification or approaches of management theory. So the first one is called classical approach of management. For those who are new, my name is Mr. Dennis, and I'm happy to have you here today. Welcome to our class. We are talking about leadership and management. And in leadership and management is divided into 2. We have section for management, and then we have section of leadership. So we're going to start with the first one, that is called the classical theories, right? So classical theories, sometimes we also call them traditional theories, right? We also call them traditional. These are the old one. So under this classification, we have 3 people who suggested or came up with theories here. We have one that is called Frederick Taylor. These are theories. He came up with something called scientific theory of management. So that is the first category. The first person under this category, under the old guys, the old boys, we have Frederick Taylor. Then we have Henry Fayol. He came up with what is called administrative theory. Of management. And of course, here we have 14 principles of management. He came up with principles of management, right? Then we have the second part, the third person, we have Max Weber. Max Weber came up with what's called bureaucratic theory. Of management, right? So that is the first category. So what are these people talking about? When they realized that it's difficult to manage human beings, they were saying that, okay, so we need to know or use a science when managing human beings. That is the first person. So this person was not focused on production. He ensured that every time he's looking at the profit maximization, inputs, output, production level should be increased at every time. He didn't care about what employees are going through. And this person that is called Frederick Taylor, or scientific, is the father of scientific theory management. He focused on job specialization. He focused on division of labor, right? So he was always saying that people should work and work and work and work. But then Fayol came and looked at what he was talking about. And then Fayol said that I think this person is not actually realistic. He needs to look at the best way, administrative way. Let's not just look at production. Let's look at the best ways of managing people without actually exploiting people. So he improved on this. And then he came up with the 14 principles of management. This person called Henry Fayol. So in exam, they can ask you, can you state Fayol's 14 principles of management? And so we have a formula. A formula for this, we have called, I'm hoping that you can see here, that is one thing that they can bring in exam, that you see USSROIC. There should be 14. So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I see. This one should be double. This is 14. Dad, you see USSROIC. That is the 14 principles of management. That is how you can cram them, by Henry Fayol. He actually improved on what was given by Frederick Taylor. Frederick Taylor was actually focusing profit maximization of production. He was focusing on machineries. He was treating people like a machine. He didn't care about welfare of employees. So he was thinking about profit maximization, division of labor, specialization, and remuneration. He actually believed that everyone should be paid in line with the work that he does. When you make more effort, you should be paid more. That is what he was trying to say, Frederick. And so Henry Fayol came and looked at that and he said that I think we can do better than this. We don't need to treat human being like a machine. Can we improve? So he came up with this. So number 1, he agreed with him in terms of division of labor. So he was saying that in anyway, we should be able to divide work according to what somebody can do so that we don't have confusion when we are working. That is what actually he was trying to do. The second one, who else has ever heard of this? Nani amewahi kutana na kitu kama hii? The 14 principles of management. Who has ever met such kind of things? Anybody who has met such kind of things? Or these are unique things? Okay, so the second one, we said that this one is administrative management. We came up with administrative theory. So the second one, after that, we have authority and responsibility. Is saying that people should be given authority and responsibility. Once you've been given a job, like division of labor, they have divided work according to everyone's capability, then you now need to give that person authority, and then you put it responsible or accountable. Let him be accountable, right, on his work. You divide the job and give him the authority to perform that work, and then responsibility. In this particular topic, they'll be able to ask you, as we go ahead, you'll be able to see areas where they'll be asking you what differentiate between authority and responsibility, or accountability and responsibility. We are going to look at that as we proceed. They normally bring such things in exam. Then we have discipline. Where they are saying that in a serious organization, there should be discipline. People should be able to work in harmony. If there is no discipline, then people are not able to work well. So we have discipline there. Then we have unity of command. This is where order comes from. Like in army, we normally have the person who is at the highest level. That is chief of defense force or whatever. That is the person who gives order or command. We should only be getting order from one person. When you start getting order from different people, then sometimes we have confusion. You know, you can't be told to do one thing and another person is also doing, giving a different order. So that is another one. Then we have the second one, we have centralization. So when decisions are being made, if we decentralize decision, we normally have confusion. So when you're making that order or making decision, they should come from up or from a common place. It should be centralized, a common place. Then now it trickles down. Otherwise, if people will be able to make decisions from any level, then we'll have a lot of confusion. So we talk about centralization. Then the next one, we are talking about unity of direction. That a serious organization should have a common direction. We should have one direction where all of us are going to. So that is unity of direction. If we don't have a vision that is common or a direction that everyone knows that we are moving towards, there will be a challenge. So unity of direction is another one. That is what they are trying to propose there. Then we have subordinate of interest. Subordinate of personal or self-interest. Subordinate of personal or self-interest. So what does subordinate mean? We normally have interest of the organization, and then we have interest of the individual person. Those are two interests. Now, subordinate is like a supporting staff, subordinate staff. So they are saying that your interest should always come second or after, should be supporting the main interest of the organization. So it should not be the main one that we are focusing on. Personal interest should not be the first one. In our organization, we should all be interested in achieving the organizational goal and then personal interest. For example, you could be doing your masters, but you can't let the customer waiting because you're doing your masters. The interest of the organization should come first, and then your personal should be a subordinate, should come up second. Right? So that is what they are saying, that subordinate or personal interest should be ensured, so that we have the main interest of the organization first, and then seconded by the personal interest. Otherwise, we will have a problem. Then we have a scalar chain of command. Or scalar chain. This is basically the hierarchy. The way we normally have hierarchy, we have each level in organization, who is supposed to report to who, like that, up to the higher level. There should be a clear chain of authority, That is what we mean by a scalar chain, a clear chain of authority. Then we have remuneration. They are saying that this person, any employee should also be paid well. We should have remuneration. The better, the better you do your job, the better should be the salary. As you do your work, you should be earning more salary. So they are saying about, they are talking about remuneration, right? Everybody should be paid well according to the work that you're doing. And that brings a lot of challenge. You know, if, for example, you've done a CPA and you have 5 years experience, you are an accountant, you are being paid 30,000, but somebody who has the same qualification or experience is being paid maybe 100,000 somewhere. So this person is suggesting that organizations should be able to do a survey, salary survey, so that we make people who have the same experience at the same salary, doing the same job and the same salary. Si ati unafinywa sana hapa na pale watu wanalipwa vizuri. Ukisikia hiyo, you will be demoralized. So they are saying that for us to make people work well and manage them well, we should be having remuneration that is a standardized remuneration. Tuko pamoja? Then we now have order. Things should be done in some order. In an organization, people should be organized, right? Somewhere where I used to work before, we used to have what is called clean desk policy. Yani, in your desk where you're working, you are the CEO of your desk. I'm sure you should be having things well organized. They should be having some order. Hata kama unafanya kazi, there should be order in the way you are doing your work. And that is why when you go to banking, we normally have those receipts or tickets that you pick, so that we have people being served in some order. There must be order. Not like people are just there, chaos, everything is just everywhere. There should be order in an organization, all right? So that is another one. Then we are talking about initiative. An organization should be actually encouraging people to be innovative. You should encourage people to take initiative. Actually, go for the challenges, right? Should not be an organization that is boring. People are just doing redundant job. Take people, give people challenge, make them become innovative. Try things that they could have never done before, right? Things that they could have never done. So that is very important. And then we have stability of tenure. Stability of tenure. So here we are saying that an organization should be able to assure people of their job security. The tenure is the job security. It should be stable. When you are working somewhere where your job are unsecure, of course there will be challenges. So stability of tenure comes in with the cover that you have, medical cover, NHIF, NSF for retirement. If there is any benefit, should be there, right? The contract should be permanent, salaries should be good. Those are things that make employees become stable. And training, employment growth in terms of personal growth in terms of knowledge. You should be trained, right? You know how to use your system. With that, employees are working in a good environment. If they are given that, they'll be able to work or perform better. That is stability of tenure, right? So assure them security of their job. Then the next one, we talk about equity. Equity. So we are saying that people should be treated equally. There should not be discrimination. Where if you're working, you should be paid well. If you are in the same level with somebody, should be paid equally. That's number one. Training, opportunities, bonuses should be given. Leave days should be given equally without discrimination. So there should be equity in the way you treat people. Sasa, reduce chances of discrimination. Then we have the last one, esprit de corps. Esprit. Sometimes we call it teamwork. Teamwork. So we are saying that organizations should always encourage teamwork. It is like a football. You do one, another one does the other, like that, until the process is complete. You can't be able to run an organization alone. Even departments should be able to work as a team. So that is what they are saying. An organization should always encourage teamwork. Now, that is basically what Henry Fayol was proposing. He actually improved on what these guys were saying earlier, the Frederick Taylor. Because Frederick Taylor basically focused on profit maximization, output, division of labor, right? They were saying that people should be given a clear job description, job specialization, kila mtu anafaa specialize. There should be standardization of work. That is what he's saying, standardization of work. So those are things that still happen today. So in exam, they can ask you, what are the contribution? What are the contribution of Frederick Taylor in the current environment of work, the current work environment? Then you now mention things like job specialization. Managers still specialize or want people to specialize on their area, so that when you're an IT guy, you just become IT. We have finance. That is something that started with Frederick Taylor, but still being employed. But we also have things like division of labor. So in exam, they can also ask you, what in which areas do Henry Fayol and Frederick Taylor meet or similarities? We have division of labor here, but we also have division of labor here. They still agree on the same thing. We talked about things like wage and incentives. These guys are saying that people should be paid well, wage incentives. But we also have remuneration here. So Henry Fayol is talking about remuneration. These guys are also talking about wages, which is the same as remuneration. They are all agreeing that people should be paid well. That is true, right? So we have division of labor, we have job specialization, where they're also talking about there. Then we have wages, all right? Then now we have standardization, which is being applied in today's world. If somebody is working, like Frederick Taylor is saying, people should not be discriminated. There should be standardization in terms of the tools of trade. Si ati huyu amepewa new laptop, huyu naye hajapewa laptop. Ama anaambiwa atumie desktop, which is mzee. So there is no standardization. But this guy is also saying equity. There should be equity in the way you treat people. So then Frederick and Henry, they are actually talking about the same thing. Standardization. Kila mtu mpe equally. And then this one is talking about equity. Then that means that both of them are agreeing that we should not discriminate. We should standardize our tools of trade and even everything that we're doing. All right. So we also talk about what else? The training and development. This guy is talking about training and development. He's saying that people should be trained well, right? There should be training and development. And so that means that we're trying to make people become more better, right? They become better employees. And so when you look at these people, they're talking about initiative. When you are trained, then you're motivated to take up challenges. When you are trained, you're motivated to take up challenges and even develop yourself. And that is when you can take initiative, right? And also, it also shows that there is no discrimination. So there is equity. So more or less, they're the same in some aspect. In some aspect, they're the same. Now, these are the two guys that started. Now, Max Weber came up with bureaucratic theory of management. So Max Weber is saying that I think we should now have some ways of managing. We should come up with bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is where you have stages of approval or there are controls. So he's agreeing with these guys. But he's saying that though you've done well in improving on this person's work, you've done well. But then there is something that is still remaining. We need to have bureaucracy. We need to have standard or procedures of doing things. So in bureaucracy, that's where there are strict laws and procedures. Like when you go to KRA, kienda KRA kwa desk moja, uulize ati who is supposed to give me, where can I go for this? Wanakuambia go and call our number, utaambiwa. They will not. Imagine unakaa hapa, manager wako hapa na anaona ile service unataka angekufanyia, anakuambia ngoja tu ama aenda urudi. Because there are strict rules. You can never actually do someone's job. You have to actually stick to your own job or duties, right? So there are strict procedures, strict rules that people have to follow. And even in the approval process, if somebody is not there, we just leave it there. So that is what he's saying, that all of these are okay, but there was no such kind of things that ensures that our control in whatever we are doing. So that is what he contributed. And it's the last person in that category, bureaucracy. So we have to have adherence to the hierarchy. For example, there are even the way people report. The officer will report to assistant manager, assistant managers report to the manager, manager report to senior manager reports to general manager report to the CEO. That category is hierarchy. Now, in bureaucracy, it is like that. You can't close. So you find that you are being sorted. But because one manager is not there, there is a gap. Unaambiwa ati kuja kesho. Kwanza ofisi za government. Unaambiwa enda urudi kesho because nani is not here. While they could have actually reported that or even assisted you, they can't do that because there is a strict bureaucracy. Now, in exam, they might ask you, what are some of the limitations or challenges that comes with Max Weber's belief or theory? Of course, bureaucracy has challenges. We waste a lot of time, right? We waste a lot of resources. We have to have so many multiple of people along the line, which is unnecessarily. We waste a lot of time. Sometimes it discourages people. Some people are not patient like us. We even go and leave that thing and never come back. That can be a loss of revenue, right? You need to train people as well. That is also another thing because you have to train people and tell them this is how you should report, these are your work, different people. Even if they are able to do it, you have to talk about that. Then we also say that these people focus more on rules and regulations. They don't focus on customer service. They don't check that you need to be serviced. You need to get your service and go. They are always focused on following the procedure. They don't mind whether you are not satisfied or you are. So we are saying that these people, they focus on rules and regulations, which is unnecessary. Another challenge with this is that it is very slow in decision making. You have to consult a lot of people. Nani hajasema kitu, nani hajasema kitu. You can't make independent decision, right? You can't make independent decision. And then a process can also be affected in case people are not having proper communication. Where there is a challenge of communication, if there is a weakness somewhere, utapata mwingine anasema mimi hata sijasikia hiyo maneno. Umekuwa ukifuatilia hata ID yako ama good conduct or whatever, unaenda kila siku. Baadaye unapiga kwa chairman or whoever is there responsible, anakwambia ati hata yeye anasikia hiyo story leo because there was a gap somewhere. So we are saying whenever there is no proper coordination and communication, then there is normally a gap and that can cause a problem, right? So bureaucracy, where document has been received but cannot reach to HR because you need to still pass it somewhere. That is very hard. So these are some of the things that people should need to improve on. It focuses on too much formality that doesn't make sense. It's just too formal that sometimes does not give value on employees. Now let's look at the second category. Unless you have a question, I want us to now look at the second category. Remember, the first one was called classical theory. The classical theory, where we have these three guys. They are the traditional guys. They were not focusing much on you. They are focusing on work and profit. When you look at their nature, they have little to do with human being. Now, the second category that we now have is called human behavioral approach. Human behavioral approach of management or behavioral approach of management. They are now wondering that the traditional guys, the classical guys, were not mindful of our work. They are just focused on the work, but not on our affairs. So they want to look at the behavior. They are saying that the best way to manage human being is to study his behavior. That is the second category. So let me just write it here. The second category, behavioral approach of management. Somebody talked about neoclassical. Now these are the neoclassical, after classical, right? Neoclassical, we're talking about behavioral approach. Here we have three guys again. The first person is called Elton Meyer. Elton Meyer is talking about the human relation theory. Human relation theory. He's trying to study how human relates. He's saying that, you know, even if you do everything like the classical theorists were saying, we need to study the behavior of human. We need to know how they relate. I'm sure even you, Mercy or Nokia, even you, when you're working with a friendly manager, you normally feel good, and even the performance can go higher. So he's suggesting that when you have bosses who are actually minding about the welfare of employees, you treat them well, you know, not just giving them money, but even supporting them, asking them, how are you today? Like I used to have a manager who will always come to my desk when I was working somewhere and ask you, how is your day today? You know, how was your night? I hope you're okay. Good morning. Unajua manager akikwambia tu good morning, you feel good, right? You feel good because at least I'm recognized. So that kind of recognition, appreciation of your work, even if you have some little achievement, that makes you do better. So we are saying these people are looking at the behavior of human being. And so one of them, Elton Mayo, is saying that when you look at the relationship between the human or the stars, it can actually improve management. It makes management become better. So he did some tests, and the one that is common is called Hawthorne experiment. Hawthorne experiment. So what he did here in Hawthorne experiment, it is an experiment that was trying to do to check on the behavior of people. So what he did, he went to a certain room where people are doing sewing or ile tailoring, you know, those who are when you wanashona nguo. Ameenda kwa room with 7 women who are doing that business ya kushona nguo. Now when he was there, he put light that is quite bright and people are able to see what is happening. And so people started working. Then time by time, he will go and reduce the light. He will reduce the light, but when he reduces the light, he will come and make story with people. Anawasaidia fanya hii na hii na hii. Sasa light imekuwa dim, lakini bado watu wanafanya kazi vizuri. And so even when it was now seemingly, when it seemed to be darkness, he will see people still working well. Because him as a manager, he was still there physically helping people do the job, supporting what they are doing. Then he asked the employees, how comes you guys are able to do better, even though there is no much light? Then they say that whenever you are here supporting us, giving up morale, motivating us, we feel happy and we are able to always are there. You know, we can actually do better. And so that is what happened. So then they realize that whenever we have a good relationship between the managers and the employees or workers, then there will be better output. So that is how he came up with that particular theory. So that is an experiment that he was able to test. So he did that. Then now we have the second person, the next person that is called Abraham Maslow. We have Abraham Maslow. He's also talking about behavior of human beings. This one I know you know about. So to the new guys, Mandela and Nokia, please welcome. My name is Mr. Dennis. I normally teach at MTC. I teach audit, advanced audit, and those whom I've taught knows very well that I make life easy. Then I also teach LM, I also teach FM. So welcome. We are starting our classes officially on Monday, but right now we're just having some break. So it's a free class. We are trying to just do some background on the key topics and areas that you need to focus on. So this one, we are basically doing leadership and management. And we talked about the classification of management theories. The first classification, we talked about classical theories. Classical theories has 3. These are the traditional ones. The first one, we have somebody called Frederick Taylor. He came up with scientific theory of management. Then we have Henry Fayol, who came up with administrative theory of management. All right. Then we have the last one called Max Weber. He is the one who came up with bureaucratic theory. Under that, we're able to look at the key areas, like the principles of management. We talked about 14 principles of management, which normally comes in exam in your paper. They normally ask. Then we looked at how those theories or the principles are still being applied in the contemporary world. When somebody talks about contemporary world, that is the world of today, this changing world, where managers now apply different methods of management. We still apply those 14 principles. and I gave a synonym, or I gave a mnemonic of cramming those 14 principles, which you can always say that you see USSR OIC. So I'll be able to give you that. When we start classes, of course, I'll be able to repeat that so that you can be able to understand. The secret is always attend class. When you attend class, you can never fail. You can never fail. So we are in the second category or second classification of theories of management. The first one was classical, which I've said the 3 theories under it. The second one is called behavioral approach. Under this, we also have 3 people. And the first person is called Elton Mayo. He is now focusing on human behavior. The first theories, the classicals, were focusing on production. They are just looking at what. They didn't care about human beings. But these guys are now saying, oh, can we also be mindful of the people who are working for us? As a good manager, you should always think about your employees. So we have Elton Mayo, who is talking about human relations. And I've just given an example. He did some experiment, and then he was able to see that when we have good relationship between employees or workers and the managers, production level normally goes up, management becomes easier. Then now we have Abraham Maslow. So Abraham Maslow is talking about the human need. He's saying that you need to study somebody according to what he wants. What makes you happy doesn't make me happy. What makes Mercy happy doesn't make Mandela happy. So they are saying, let's come up with the best way of understanding what somebody wants. When we satisfy that, he's actually motivated. He can do a better job. So he came up with the hierarchy of human need. So he came up with the hierarchy of human need. Or human wants. You know, you can call it human wants or human needs, human wants or human needs. So here, he suggested that we have hierarchy that grows like a tree or a human, become a baby. So he's saying that a normal human being, the first thing that is very important for this person is normally the basic need, chakula, health. For example, sasa ukipita pale kwa barabara chokora atakwambia mpe chakula. That is what they need. They are not worried about security. They are not worried about education. They don't want cars. They only want food. So we are saying that human beings have some needs that needs to be satisfied. When you satisfy, you make them happy. And when they are happy, they work better and managing them become easy. So what makes an employee in the management level happy is different from the ones that makes an employee at the entry level. At the entry level, this person is just from school, hana job, na hana salary. So this person, when you give him 10,000, he's very excited. In fact, the fact that he can wake up every day to come and work makes him happy. So 10,000 is enough for him because he will look for a servant quarter or something like maybe these small rooms, and I live around 5,000, another 2,000 ya fare, na anachapata chakula ya 3,000. Huo ataomba ama atavaa na bradhake wana share. This person is just okay until you just satisfy that. Ukifika tu hapo anaanza kudai ati anataka sasa 15k. Ukimwongeza 15k ana satisfy some needs because right now ataanza kuvaa vizuri, right? Yeah, bado hataki gari, anataka tu kuvaa vizuri, aende job, asumbuke juu ya fare na alale vizuri na anaweza buy duvet kama mabeste wake, right? So when you satisfy that by paying 15,000, this person wants to be paid 20. Why? Because he wants to move to a better room and is now thinking of even taking girlfriend out. That is, human need has increased. So they are saying that for you to satisfy human being, you need to know which stage are they, so that you satisfy that stage. Of course, when you move to another one, you again satisfy that, and then it keeps on doing better in terms of production. So the first one is called physiological needs. So this is where we have the basic ones like now food, water, clothing, rest, right? Shelter, those are basic, right? Then we have the second category that is called safety. Mtu akishiba ndio sasa anakumbuka inafaa akae mahali sio slum. When you met this person, anaweza lipa everything, right? Sasa nafikiria wacha nitoke hapa Dandora niende mahali safi, mahali at least there is no sewage, mahali hakuna dustbin, right? Mahali at least security iko sawa, because you satisfy the first one. So he moves to safety. Safety. Somebody who is hungry, mwenye akona njaa, hata kumbuki story ya safety ya kumbuki, you know, mwenye akona njaa anataka tu hiyo chakula na nguo na shelter, hata kama hiyo nyumba inakaa aje, yeye haogopi security, because yeye mwenyewe ni security himself, yeye mwenyewe ni slayer. Ukicheza mawe, you ameishi tu nje tayari, right? So when you satisfy that, you go to the second one. Now after satisfying this person, maybe sasa amemove, ametoka pale Dandora, amekuja place better, anaanza kufikiria vitu zingine. Sasa anaanza kufikiria vitu kama mapenzi, love, or self-belonging. Self-belonging or love. Now this person wants to look for a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Anataka kuvaa vizuri, aweke perfume, anuke vizuri, you know. Hapo ndio sasa anaanza kutafuta mabeshte wakuja wamtembelee. Huku chini ilikuwa kubaya, angetafuta. Hapa sasa anatafuta mabeshte, right? You start looking for friends. Start having some groups. They are going for meetings. They have club members, right? This person now start looking for association. They want to be part of certain group, right? Now, that is the next stage where you want to even have families. You know, think of, can I have my own kid? Where is my mom? You want to, unataka kutembelea aunts, right? You have the ability now. You want to be like you belong to a certain group. Then we have self-esteem. Esteem. Now, at this stage, you are now looking for things that can make you be recognized. You want to achieve things that can be seen. You want to be called a manager. You want to be called somebody who has masters or PhD or degree. Then you want to kutafuta titles, right? So that is called self-esteem. You want things that make you become proud. You want to be MCA. So at this level, haungekuwa MCA. But now that you are mabeshte wanakwambia, sasa unajua sasa wewe unaweza kuwa MCA. Sasa unatafuta kuwa mbunge, MCA, you are here. You want to be recognized in the community. Ukifika mahali watu wanakutambua. That is called self-esteem. Then now once you've been recognized, you are the MP, unaendesha gari classic, you know, hata gari yako unataka kuwa ile ya classic, Beat ama Vanguard, you are recognized. After that, you now reach a level that is called self-actualization. It is very rare to reach at this level. People, human beings, never get satisfied. From where I come from, there was a musician who said that human heart never gets satisfied. Yani, you always want, hata ukimpea hii, anatafuta hii. Ukimpea hii, hata akiwa president, anataka tu ashikilie ama kuwe king. So that means that human need never end. So that is why it is very difficult to reach this level. But we have some people that I know in the world who reach a higher level now, wakasema mimi sasa nimefika mwisho. Yani washafanya ile kitu watu wanaweza recognize in society. Sasa wabaki tu wakiona wanasaidia watu. And that is called Annan. If you remember Annan, Mandela, those are people that were not fighting for any presidency. Yani walifika mahali hapa na wakaona wamefika huku. They were now doing things to change the world. This level. Mwenye amefika hii level, yeye sasa atafuti vitu vingi. Kazi yake ni kusaidia watu wengine na kufanya zile vitu zina change dunia. And so many people reach here. When you look at our current political issues, there are a lot of trouble because they have reached here, but they are fighting. They have never been satisfied completely. So if you're a good person, at some times you just say, thank you God. Sahi hata nikirudi mbinguni nishafanya yalayo ningeweza. Ile ningeweza, right? You've done everything that makes you happy. Go back and give to the society. Leave a legacy. Leave a legacy. So people do not reach here easily. And that is why people fight for power. They want to be what, you know, they never end. But a few people can reach here. Like today, Obama is here. I don't think Obama is looking for anything in life today. Just like Mandela. He's not. Just like Annan, Kofi Annan. They are not. Right? Now their work, and that is why whenever there is any issue like politics or anything, they normally call those people who are called observers. They are normally retired people. They are people who have reached here. Unasikia former presidents, former. Those people have done everything. Their main aim is to see that the society where we live also live well, like they are. Now, these are Abraham. So he's saying that for you to satisfy somebody, you go like that, satisfy this, atakuwa happy. Unfortunately, it never ends. But in exam, they can ask you, what is the limitation in this? What are some of the challenges when you look at this theory? Of course, the challenge is, it is not very clear where one need ends so that we go to the second level. It is not very clear because you find somebody wants to drive, he wants to be FCA, he wants to drive it, but at the same time, anatafuta mapenzi. So that means that he has not actually satisfied this level. At the same time, they are still looking for security. He's not safe. Anajenga nyumba ile ako nayo anataka ingine. So there is no clear line of differentiation. You can't have a clear cut and say that really we have done this, let's now move to another. It is normally continuous. That is one thing. Second thing, that is it's not very easy to know whether they are complete. This thing will never end. Kwa hiyo wengine wamefika hapo wamekuwa president lakini bado ameshikilia hataki kuacha presidency. So can we say that he has reached here? It's not very clear. Not very clear. People never get satisfied. Unapata mtu amekuwa mzee, amekuwa nini, pesa ako nayo kila kitu, lakini bado anataka tu, unashangaa nini mbaya na huyu, right? So we can clearly say that they are actually satisfied, right? So that is a challenge that they have. But then they can ask you, how can we apply this in today's world? How can we apply this in contemporary management? So you can always talk about how employees that using this, managers can always give bonus. They can always give car allowance. They can always give house allowance. And that is what they are doing to APs. They are giving car allowance so that they satisfy some needs. They are giving security. They are giving what, you know, so that they are trying to satisfy this level of or hierarchy of need. Let's look at the third person. The third person is called McGregor. I know you know this person. McGregor. Freddie McGregor. Is it really that one? So McGregor is also trying to promote the theory or behavioral approach theory. So McGregor is basically saying that, you know, human beings can be divided into two categories. Kuna wale wanapenda kazi na wale wanaogopa kazi, you know, joyriders. You know, they are always ghost workers. So for you to manage human being well, you don't need to understand their level of or hierarchy of needs. Just understand where is it falling. Ule yule unashinda ukimwambia tu go and do the work, do this, do this, do this, do this. If you don't do that, hakuna kazi inafanyika. Lakini kuna mwingine yeye ukishampea tu kazi mwambie these are the tools of trade, this is what you need to do, forget about it, he will deliver. So McGregor came up with these theories and he said that we have theory Y. He came up with this theory Y, X, and Y. He said that theory X is somebody who is stubborn. He wants to be micromanaged. He wants to be reminded every time. So you need to know among your employees where you are also employer, you know, you're working somewhere probably. Think about the employees that you have. Kuna wale unakumbusha, unamwambia fanya hii, fanya hii, fanya hii, fanya hii. So he's saying that a good manager should understand the behavior of human being by looking at the category so that you can know, you don't waste a lot of time, energy running after every employee, right? And that is why when they're doing interviews, they sometimes ask, what are some of your weaknesses? What are some of your strengths in the interview, right? Where do you see yourself in the next 50 years or 5 years? They want to see you, whether you have a goal, whether you're motivated, whether you know where you are going to, so that they can actually be able to select a good employee. Most employers are looking for theory Y, because Y feels like a job and play are the same. Like what kazi ni kama kucheza. Wanna enjoy and they do it in time. So the McGregor approach was categorizing human beings into these categories. And so the theory X says that managers tend to manage employees because these employees need to be reminded all the time. You know, they are always very complex to deal with, right? You need to have close supervision. So when you know you have such kind of staffs, don't waste time, know how to deal with them. Then we have theory X, which are the opposite. Theory Y is the opposite, which believes that employees enjoy work. They can always do it anytime. They don't have a problem, right? So once you've known that, you can easily manage human beings. So those are things that we'll be able to discuss in our normal classes in details. We can be able to discuss them in detail in our normal classes, right? Now, let's look at the last category, the last class. After behavioral, we have the last class, the last group, and that will be the end of our today's class. It is called modern theories. So under modern theories, there's number 3, the third class. Under modern theories, they are actually classifying human or staffs in different categories. They are saying that it's not just now looking at the human physical aspect. We now need to manage things that are beyond this. We need to manage the quantitative and qualitative approach, right? We need to think about even things like operation management, the production level. We need to think about the management of information system, the information that we use to do productions or to manage people, how we gather them. Those are what he's now thinking about. So he classified the first one as quantitative, quantitative, and qualitative approach. So under this, that is where we have the management sciences, we have the management operations or operation management, then we have management of information system. Now, under management sciences, we look at the quality controls, things that people who have done FM now understand. Look at the capital budgeting. We are saying that there's a way you can do management that is accepted. When you do capital, advanced capital management, how are you supposed to do the cash flow management, right? Expenses, production scheduling, the production level. I know you've done the reorder levels. Now that is here. They are now saying that we don't just look at human beings. We look at their work by looking at the output. So you don't look at the performance of somebody by how he wakes up in the morning, how he's doing his work. No, you look at the end. You look at the end. You look at the human resource planning, where people are able to plan ahead and know that we are going to have a shortage. When we expand our production, we need more resources. We need more staffs. Then that is the level, or that is the way we are now thinking. We look at the inventory optimization so that you have a lean stock, like reorder level. You have stocks that can be used where we don't have to incur a lot of cost in storage. At the same time, we don't have stock out cost, so that we have optimum level of inventory where wastages are actually minimum, but we don't have shortage in terms of production. Now, after that, we have the second category that is now talking about the system approach. We have the system approach of management, where now they are saying system approach. So this category, they believe that organization is like a system that actually, system normally has input and output. So they are saying that we have input, then we have organization, then we have output. And so inputs are the resources that we put here, like the raw materials, the information that we gather, come in marketing, we have human resource, the personnel. Then we'll be able to process something, this processing. Then we output, we deliver, we give our final products. So they are looking at organization like that. So they are managing organization from the raw materials that they bring in, the processing, we put controls there, and then the output. So you look at this, the modern approach of management are actually now not focusing on human only. They are looking at very minor details or tiny details, very tiny details. So they are saying that organization is like that, where we can have a closed system, an open system, which allows information to come in and then emit. But again, after that, of course, you'll get customer, for example, if you are in marketing department, you'll always get customers' opinions. They are telling you that we need this product to look like this. Those are input. You now design that product or service like that, give output, then collect again recommendation. So it is a process that keeps on moving like that. You come here, give a product or take orders or information that you want, process it, come up with output, evaluate again, come and revise again. So they are saying that this thing is something that is continuous. It never ends, right? That is the system. Then I think that is the last category of this. The very last one is called contingent theory of management or situational approach. Contingency management approach or situational approach. That is number 3. Contingency, those are things that are dealt with as they come. These are things that would have not been seen in advance. So they are saying that management should always be taken or handled according to the way it comes. The way situations appear in a full bill na vile iko. So that is what we call contingency approach. Stroke situational. You know, these guys are saying that there is no better way of managing things. Manage it the way it is. You know, there's no better way. If you are doing this, don't copy. It is like with them, marriage is like management is like marriage. You can't copy something that is happening for neighbor. You bring here. So they are basically saying that there is no proper way of managing this. So according to this, you need to identify the technique. The managers need to identify the technique of managing depending on the scenario at hand. You know, so they have features or characteristics. They are saying that organizations are very unique and the goals and operations also differ. So these things should always be aligned to match the unique nature of the organization. So there is no uniform way. Nobody can lie to us that it is the proper way of managing. No. They are also saying that the external environment of each organization differ. And so when you are managing, you should always be mindful of your specific external environment. You can't tell me that how you are managing here in Nairobi is the same as home. No, manage them according to the environment where you are. They also assume that organization is big, and so it has some subsystems that are interrelated. For example, we have human resource department, we have finance. These are organizations like a system, like human body. So we have hand, we have head, we have neck, we have everything, right? So they are saying these things should always work together. And so when you are managing, don't think of managing departments equally. Think about how you can be able to manage these things differently and then interrelate them, right? Interrelate them so that they can work in a harmony. Those are what they are saying. And so they are saying that there is no best way of managing an organization or human being. Some of the contribution to this, in exam, they can ask you what are the contribution of this approach to the current management. One of them, you can say that it makes it clear that there are no universal way, so everyone can actually manage according to the current scenarios. And so when you go to one organization, you find that the way they manage is good, but it's different from another one, which also manages their ways or resources well. Doesn't mean that if they're different, then one go na makosa ama sio vizuri. So this one means that the managers should always apply their management skills and technique depending on the situation or scenario they are handling. That is something that is true. Like now, the changing world, in the changing world, or what we call change management, it is applied in change management because you'll find that in my area of operation, the technology is really affecting my business. So I can't be able to manage it the exact way in which a different business is being managed, right? So you need to keep on applying the techniques. Another advantage is that it makes managers become innovative and high alert on the changes. The managers are now very active. They are very alert to the situations and new changes are coming. So that is contribution because we have accepted that everybody should use the record. So kila manager amekaa tu kama sungura. Angojea, kiona hii, they want to always apply the techniques that can be applied in the current situation. So that is actually an advantage. That is application or contribution to the current ways of management. Another one, it widened the scope. It widened the scope, operations, and knowledge of managers. Managers are now becoming very open-minded. They are thinking outside the box. So what that means? So the managers are not bound to stereotype, you know, or stereotype principles or resolution. No, they can actually have open mind. It also encourages managers to have to involve innovation, development, new developments they accept, right? And adopt the new technology. So with the current situation, you always need to apply this approach in management, right? So in case they ask you, how do you apply this, or what are the benefits or contribution of this to the current management, the contemporary approaches? Okay, so up to there, I just want to give you some few questions that have been set on the same area in our previous papers. Like, for example, in November 2017, you can write somewhere. November 2017, they were asking, explain in practical terms how the classical theory of management differs from contemporary theory. This is the contemporary theory. This is the current one. You know, contemporary theory or contingent theory. How does this actually, or the modern, we can call it the modern theory, modern or contemporary. How does it differ from the classical theory? These guys are now looking at those details. The other one are looking at the production only. They're looking at the division level, job classification, right? These guys are now looking at managing as per the situation. So you need to understand this and talk about the contribution of these guys on the current theory of management and the other ones. Another question that is being asked was in 2016 November, question number 2. November 2016, question number 2, and they were saying, assess the relevance of Henry Fayol's principles. The relevance of Henry Fayol 14 principles. That is the that you see USSR. They're asking, assess the relevance of those principles of management to the organization today. That is the application of those principles in the today's organization. So you need to know that could be even 10 marks or 15 marks. So you need to know the 14 principles and how they're being applied today in the organization. So if you talk about equity, you explain that. Division of labor, how does today apply division of labor? You know, hierarchy, the scalar chain, how do they apply that? They are being applied, right? So you explain that in today's organization, they still apply scalar chain in this way, where we have people, we have the CEO, general managers, so there is a proper flow or some unidentifiable flow of information and flow of command. We have order, people still have order, all right? So we have things that are organized. When you're looking, for example, you get to the banking mall, utaambiwa kama unataka checkbook, enda pale. Ukitaka card, enda pale. Ukitaka hii, enda pale. There is that order, right? There is also the ticket that you pick so that people don't cause chaos in the banking mall. Those are application of order in the current situation, right? You also have things like remuneration. People are paid well, and people keep on. We have now the labor organization, like the one that is headed by Atwoli. Their main aim is to ensure, Atwoli ensures that the employees are actually not mistreated. They are paid well, fairly. There is salary increment, bonuses where applicable, such kind of things. We have others like teamwork, where we have different departments are now being encouraged to work together as a team. Those are application of 14 principles in the current organization. They still apply them, right? And then you get your 14 marks, right? Of course, when you choose one, you identify one and explain that is 2 marks. So ukiona wamekupea hivyo, na wamekupea 14 marks, that means that you need to give at least seven correct answers, all right? Then the last question that I'll give you for today, that was set in 2012, discuss the following contemporary approaches, to the management. Then they are talking about the behavioral approach and the management science approach. The management science approach, where they feel management is like a scientific management, right? So we explain what they mean. Those are basically what I wanted us to discuss today. Thank you very much for coming, and I really appreciate it. I hope to see you in my class. Just pay and join as soon as possible. For those who are waiting for results, please don't wait. What you do, results will come. Start warming up. If you come and pay, for example, you pay us a half, like 1,700, you will start classes 5 minutes. In case result ikuje, which we hope that you're going to pass, you'll only pay the other half. Ukishikwa, then you come and clear the balance. You come and retake. You come and retake in a different unit, right? So thank you very much. See you, and may God bless you. Have a good night. Sasa, bye. See you.